My name's Bonnie.
I'm Carol Ann.
And I'm Collette.
Today, we are following up on our last program where we explored food bank and making use of a food bank, what we can do to help out at a food bank, what we could donate, things like that. And we wanted to follow up on that program because we recognize that today, more and more, people are having to do more with less. And we wanted to talk about and explore how to do more with less. And for the expertise in that area, we are going to Collette.
Yes. Let's find some creative ways of stealing from Peter to feed Paul in these days that we're in. I would have to start the best saving technique I have is inviting God into the situation. Because I'm telling you, people, without Creator God, there's no way our bank statement would be healthy. Danielle and I have both learned early that it's impossible for us to do this. And we were introduced to open hand policy. And what an open hand policy is that your hand remains open to receive and to give. If you close your hand, you're having a poverty mentality. And Creator God does not want us to just have that poverty mentality. He wants us to have the blessings and be a blessing to others. So we learned this pretty early in our marriage. So thankful we did. Because when we bought our first house, after 2 years of marriage, the reason why we did it is because we couldn't afford the rent. So you can't afford the rent, but you bought a house. That's God. That's Creator God and how He works. Because what had happened is that we had given our notice. We were in the bush. We had 2 little children. We knew we had to move before they started school. And so we knew we had to relocate. And relocating was either moving, and I never thought we'd buy. I never thought we'd ever buy. That was not even our realm. But when we started looking at the rent, we couldn't do it. There's just no way we could do it. So we did what we've learned. And that is, oh God, help. Pretty profound prayer, right? Oh God, help. And then I opened like a flyer in the back. And it was a real estate flyer. And in it was a fixer-upper for $21,000. Yes, you heard that right. $21,000. That was, I believe, in 1989, I believe. So I called. I called and I said, so are we talking about a garage or a house here? And it ended up, it was a house. And we went and looked at it, and it was in Gabriel, right on Main Street. And yes, it was a fixer-upper. Let me explain how much of a fixer-upper it was. My father, when he saw the house, looked at us, smiled, and said, this is going to either make or break your marriage. I'm happy to report Danielle and I are still together, people. Okay, so it made our marriage. We would like squirrel away some funds and buy some chip rock, or yes, there was a season we had to move out, and thank you that we had lovely parents that understood, because our son had asthma. So when we started sanding and stuff, we had to adjust. Expect adjustments along the way. Expect adjustments, guys. Everything's not just going to fall on but that's the building material on relationship, is the adjustments, right? So we did buy the house, and to us that was a miracle, an absolute miracle, because it ended up, our mortgage was about half of what we would have paid for rent. It took us longer to pay, but in saying that, fast forward 7 years, we came in with half down on our second house because the equity we put in that house. So we are not smart enough to figure this out ourselves, guys. No shame on us. We're just not. So creatively invite God, and great creator God, whatever, invite and let him be part of your budget, your everyday life. Does he care? Yes, he does. He cares about our everyday life and needs. And I would say my second tip would be establish the difference between needs and wants. This is very important. Take a piece of paper, do a line down the middle, needs, wants, and establish. A need is food on the table. A need is a roof over your head. And sad to say, some people don't even meet those needs in the times we're in right now, guys. So establish that. Now, everybody's list is going to look different. I took a wonderful course of divorce care. And in it, it was establishing people's needs and wants are different. And in it, some people, their need was definitely haircuts. That was a need for them. If they didn't feel good about how they looked, they weren't leaving the house. And that was a definite need for them. Budget for it. If that is truly your need, don't shame yourself or anybody else's needs on that list. Look at it and see, does it stay under the need or does it shift over to the want? So, and then establish that. And if you don't know how to connect with that, here's a little hint. The last 2 years of pandemic, what is it that you miss the most? What is it that you needed the most, that you felt like you needed for your world to not be so kiltered? I have a girlfriend who needs her haircut and love her for it. Totally respect her for it. My need during pandemic was to feed Chippy, my chipmunk. Now, you guys might laugh that off and put it under a want. But believe me, people, I had to believe there was still good in the world during the pandemic. So to see a little Chippy come and eat out of my hand just settled me. So nobody's going to tell you what the need is or the want is. Only you can do that list. Once you do your own personal list with your husbands, bring them together. Or if you don't have a significant other and you have children or whatever, if you're a single home family, hey, you got your needs and wants like that. But if you have others in your family, you've got to establish as a family too, what is the most important. Everybody's voice has to be heard on this needs and wants list. After you make your needs and wants list, go back to it. Look at the list. See how you prioritized it. And then change to top 3, 4, 5 of your needs and wants list. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when money comes in, and there will be seasons, I'm speaking that into you guys, there will be seasons that money will be coming into. And when it comes in, we sometimes go crazy. It's like, wow, and do our wants list and then realize what we really wanted, we had just put on the bottom of the list and all the money's gone. So put it at the top, your needs, your wants, and see what you want to do first with money that comes in, or what you need to scratch off first, when we call it affectionately in our house, tightening our belts. So when we tighten our belts, we go to it and go, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Now, it doesn't have to physically be on a paper as you go through life, because it'll change, but you'll know what you need and you'll know what you want. Now let's bring it to practical every day. The first thing everybody goes is, oh, these groceries. And that was the secret question we asked in our previous episode. Are we going to eat this month? So let's see how we can save on groceries. My number one hint, believe it or not, for saving on groceries is eat before you go grocery shopping. Never grocery shop on an empty stomach, because everything is going to look good and everything is going to end up back in your basket. So eat before. I know that sounds silly. Test me. Try it. See if it doesn't make a difference in your grocery shopping. Do you know that expression? There's an app for that? Well, there's an app for that. Flip and Reeby are excellent apps for helping you shop. Not only that, they let you make your shopping list on their app, which is fantastic because when you touch something that's on sale, it goes into a shopping list for you. And you can shop the specials and go and see every special in the stores around your area and not waste gas. Because right now, that goes from a need to a want, gas prices, depending if we need to get to work or want to go to the camp. So trust me, gas matters. If I can save on gas and get to the camp, I'm out of here, people. And by the way, the flip and Reeby hint, the students from the food bank taught me that one when we were teaching them. So be open to listen to hints that come your way and be smart enough to grab them. Another thing about flip and Reeby is you can touch the magical little icon that says upcoming, and you can see the sales that are upcoming, because trust me, I've bought stuff thinking it was a sale, stocked up, just to find out the next day it went down in price. That bothers me. So check the upcoming too to see if it's worth buying this week or waiting until your next shopping excursion. Another tip I do is I try, guys, try to have a cushion of $100 in grocery money. Try. Now that seems a lot, but here's what that is delegated for. That is delegated for sales. When I come across a sale, especially non-perishable, be it canned goods, dish soap, my everyday needs, I will stock up on that sale item. Example, went to Frugals. They had the Sunlight dish soap on sale for $1. I paid $3.99 to $4.99 for one of those at my store. 5 or 1. My mom didn't raise a no dummy. I bought the 5. Okay. Well, honestly, I bought 20. Okay. Because it's non-perishable. Again, may I gently remind you, open hand policy too. And what I mean by that is I also had an amazing deal at Frugals that it was hand sanitizers bottle, $1, because it wasn't labeled, but the box that it came in showed me it was good stuff. And it was for $1. I bought 25 of them. The following week, we had lockdown and pandemic, and there was no hand sanitizers to be found. Open hand policy, people. Do not get the poverty, me attitude. This goes both ways. To receive, you have to have open to give. And I am going to tell you, we never ran out of hand sanitizer in all the years of pandemic. We sent them out, kept a couple, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, got some, here's your 2 back, or whatever. Trust in the flow of sowing and reaping. Okay, you're not going to get a harvest if you don't sow your seeds. There's my farmer in me, people. There's my farmer. Another tip that I would share with you is I shared in our previous episode. The food bank already grasped this. Downsizing. Downsizing is extremely important because you can get a huge 7-kilogram bag of rice, sometimes for $8.99. I used to get it for $7.99, $8.99, $9.99 now. But the amount you get in a 7-kilogram bag of rice saves you in the long run instead of these little $3.99 bags. Another thing we would do, Danielle and I, with the students that came through the food bank, was we would share about saving money through buying a McDonald's meal or making meals at home. And we would ask them at the beginning, how many meals do you think you could make at home for the $40 you would spend at McDonald's? Because that was the going rate when we did this teaching. And we would get all these questions and answers and 2, 3, whatever. And it ended up that we could make 12 meals at home for one outing from McDonald's. And we will post the picture up here. We had the list of the shopping prices, what we bought, the articles we bought off of our flyers. We had the list of the meals. We even had paper plates with the meals glued on them, people, so that they could see. And the meals they were getting for that $40 at McDonald's was fries and a hamburger and that. And guess what? It was on our list. They got their fries and hamburgers, even making it at home. We still could do that. But we had spaghetti and tacos and chili. And again, we'll post a picture for you guys to see. But we were all shocked to see it was 12 meals we could make at home. That's a lot of savings. I get that we're busy and every house is different. I honor those working, both of you working and getting home and trying to put a meal on the table. Like, I don't know how you guys do it. Maybe you need to share your stories with me. Okay, because I couldn't do it. This is how I saved our family money, because we chose we were going to be a one income family. That was just our decision. So reality is, I don't know how you do it, but here's a couple of tips I've learned, even staying at home. There's days it gets busy and things happen and we don't know. So when I do groceries, when I get my hamburger from my groceries, I fry it all up right away and freeze it in baggies. So instead of having to thaw hamburger, fry it up, cook, I have a 10-minute meal ready. I just throw that hamburger in, throw the extra ingredients in as my water is boiling for my noodles, and it's 10 minutes. And it's less time than pizza delivery would have at your door.
What I was thinking back to is, of course, times when we were tightening our belts, and spaghetti was one of the meals that we would have, or some kind of pasta. And it got to the point where our youngest child would almost be anxious, and he'd be, asking questions like, are we like not having enough money now? Like almost like he was anxious and worried. And what concerned us was, we don't want, to develop anxiety in our kids when we know everything is fine, and we are simply making do with what we have, and there's nothing to worry about, right? But our youngest was developing some anxiety, and he would be so tuned to what's being served up, right, on our supper table. And yet we were thinking, oh gosh, we don't want him to develop an anxiety that he carries forward in life, right? Being worried. And he did have a tendency to worry about having enough funds in life to do what needed to be done, like when he got married or in order to get married. It seemed like his approach tended towards worry, anxiety, all of this sort of stuff. And we saw that in kernel form when he was younger. just wondering if you experienced that and how you dealt with that.
Yes, attitude is everything when you bring this tightening your belt to the table, Carol Ann. And even with my grandchildren, I try to instill this too. And we do it, I'm hoping, in a positive, creative way, because our paychecks, all of our paychecks are not growing lately, people. We all understand that. So we like to say I find a treasure. I go, previously loved treasure I found at St. Vincent's or new to you, or, and it's like I just scored on For Real Unicorn. That is an adorable toy that my granddaughter loves. And there is no way I would have ever bought her that if I'd have bought it through a department store, because it's over $100, people. I got it for 20. And she's so enjoying it. And I do say to them, previously loved treasures. So that's a way of debunking the stigma of secondhand. We also used to do Make It Christmas. When we tightened our belt, we didn't say, oh, Santa's not coming or whatever, guys. What we would say is, let's show our love creatively. We are going to have a Make It Christmas. We'd make all the decorations and we hang them on the tree. You know, we all made each other's gifts. And the neatest thing was my son-in-law made my husband a duct tape wallet. Now, you've got to understand, people, we are sort of rednecks. Surprise, right? No, we are sort of rednecks. And our son-in-law just joined us easily in this family because he's got that in him too. And he made Danielle a duct tape wallet. This is after like 18 years ago. He still has it, and it's still outlived 2 other of his wallets too, okay? So there's nothing wrong with making gifts. Another way of taking anxiety off is we don't have to follow all society's expectations. For an example, like when you attend a funeral and, you know, you send flowers. Well, you know, let's be real. It's expensive. It's expensive. But there's creative ways of reaching out and sharing your heart and sharing their pain in those moments. And I just had somebody do a creative moment to me, and it was so healing for me. And what had happened is that when my mom was diagnosed with cancer, she bought me an apple tree. And the apple tree we planted, and we actually got a harvest the next year. And we, you know, took in the harvest. Then we sold our house and we moved. And when we moved, the new owners, which happened to be my sister and brother-in-law, they said the apple tree never produced again. And it's like, you're kidding me. Like, we had a box full of them. And we would, you know, joke around about it. But, you know, but the day of my stepdad's celebration of life, just a couple of weeks ago, my brother-in-law and my sister came up to me with a bag. And in the bag was apples. And they shared with me that this is the first time they got apples off of that tree. And they shared the message behind that was that my mom was indeed happy that Omi was with her again. I don't care how big of a bouquet you sent me. That will be my best gift ever. And I got to share the apples and share the story with people at the celebration of life. That's power of sharing our stories. What about memory pillows? Take a shirt they had, make a memory pillow out of it. There's so many creative ways of just saying, I feel your heart. I'm in this with you. Creative ways of sharing your heart. Another story was when I had my son, Dan, my neighbor had a little girl at the same time. And we wrote each other, we sent each other a card, congratulations card, and she had sent me one when Dan was born. And if you don't know me, I'm very sentimental. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I am. I keep everything. And years later, fast forward to about 22 years later, her daughter is having a baby. And I find the cutest little medallion to hang up celebrating the birth of her daughter. And I took the card that she had given me for Danielle, changed it into a box, put the medallion in that box card, put the cover on, and handed it to her. And when she opened it, she realized it was a celebration of her birth and her daughter's birth all in one. Wow, that was a moment. So it doesn't have to cost. And believe me, a lot of these ideas come from help God, our bank account. And I will get this fun, creative idea. Take a chance, people. Take a chance. Woo, what a ride when you do it. And what amazing time that you're sharing your story and your hearts with each other. If you're interested in making one of those boxes, be brave. Go to the description below and I will put a link there for you guys, a YouTube link on how to make these boxes. Fair? Another creative way that we learned, Danielle and I, is go back to that $21,000 house that needed some electrical work done. We do not have the ability to do electrical work. We did not have the bank account to pay for the ability to do the electrical work. However, I have and had a very talented husband who knew how to train people in driver's ed. So we did the barter system. And it just so happened that we were having coffee with friends of ours. And she was explaining how afraid she was to drive. And her husband was explaining how afraid he was to teach her to drive. And it just so happened that Danielle's specialty was driver's ed. And we knew what his job description was. And it just so happened to be an electrician. And we sat there and go, you want to barter? We don't get taxed on bartering. You want to barter? And we bartered. Danielle taught her how to drive. And happy to say, she got her license. And he came and helped us rewire the house. And he did the electrical work that we were not qualified for. So the barter system, everybody has giftings. Everybody. Can you cook? Good for you. You can barter with that. Do you love children? Babysitting. Barter each other's babysitting. There is so many ways to barter your giftings. So here again, homework, people. Sit down, write down what you're good at. Don't assume just because it comes easy to you that it's not a gifting. Because trust me, there's a lot of giftings in my friends that do not come easy to me. So see what you have as equity of bartering and see where it can fit. Another way to save money is if you have a yard. Gardening. Gardening is a wonderful way of saving money. Not just growing your own produce, which you know what you're eating, be it organic or whatever, it's your decision. And you don't have to pay extra money for organic like you do in a grocery store. You don't have to pay extra for eating well. But another reason why I garden is because the gardeners all know the jokes about lock your doors during gardening season and zucchini season, lest your friendly gardener throw some zucchinis in your car when you're not looking. However, I love to get my zucchinis because that's my gift to Danielle's staff at school. Now, I hide the zucchini in my homemade salsa, and I put a little tag on it and give them the recipe and the ingredients. People, 30 jars of salsa equals 2 boxes of chocolate. You don't have to do the math to know that's a big savings.
Collette, I hear you about the zucchinis. When my son was young, we had a large garden, and I remember it was our first time, having a garden. So we planted more zucchini than we probably should have. And the zucchinis were the size of baseball bats. Like I didn't know to, pick them when they're small. So we had these huge zucchinis, and we had this great picture of my son when he was young holding them all, which we'll put in the description here. But what was so cute is exactly what you said. When someone came over, we'd first ask them, do you want a zucchini? And they'd politely say no. But then behind the scenes, we were trying to sneak them into the back seat of their car anyway to get rid of these zucchinis. And people would, on the street would be saying, oh no, here comes Bonnie with zucchinis, like hide and run, because we would be trying to give them away. So yes, the garden is a great way to not only bless others, but also to meet your neighbors too.
Another great way of saving money is if anybody is in my sphere of knowing me, knows I love books. I absolutely love books, but books can be very expensive. And when you're tightening your belt, it is under a want in my list. However, when you have a library card, oh, the world is at your feet, because that library card not only allows you to get books nowadays, but you also can get DVD movies. You're saving on renting movies. You also can get audio books. You also can get the kind of Kindle style books that you don't even have to physically go to the library if you're stressed for time, which what working person isn't? Whether you're working outside the home or in the home, everybody's stressed for time. But it downloads and you have it for a certain amount of time, you read it, and then just send it back with one push of the button. So invest in your local libraries, guys. Invest in, and they have the coolest thing now. They have a little keychain that has your library code on it that goes on your engine, like your car keys. And they linked Danielle in my account because they knew my husband does a lot of running around for me, because we're trying to save gas these days by taking the car instead of the truck. So he will pick up my library books and he doesn't even need my card. They're linked. So you will always be able to get those books waiting for you. And I guess the last thing that I would address is impulse buying. When it says it's a sale at the store, know your prices. Is it really a sale? Know your prices. Don't get caught up in the hype. If you're an impulse buyer, and I mean, I have very close people that their therapy is shopping. Mine is reading, less expensive, but it's still therapy. And I remember listening to this great teaching that if you really are an impulse buyer, freeze your Visa card in a block of ice. By the time it melts, you wonder if you really wanted that item in the first place. That's pretty fun.
My mother was a lover of clothes. She always looked absolutely fabulous the way she was put together. You know, everything matched. She looked gorgeous, but clothes was one of her great loves. So it was on her need list. But she taught my sister and I to always shop the sales. So we never bought anything full price. So one little tip that's really good is to shop the year before for your clothes for next year. So let me explain. So for this time of year, they're getting rid of all their summer clothes. So go to the sale racks and you can pick up amazing deals because people are getting rid of that right now and they want to have room for the fall clothes. So always be one season ahead with your shopping. So you can go and pick up, you know, amazing deals on a summer t-shirt compared to the full price you would have paid back in March. So that's one great tip. Always be shopping kind of off season and get those sales.
When I first met Bonnie and we went on our first shopping expedition together, which was in January, she was picking up Christmas gifts. And me not knowing the rest of her story, I thought, oh, poor dear, so busy working. She's still catching up with Christmas shopping. No, people, she was shopping for next Christmas. Now that's on the ball.
Collette, one area that you helped me was when weeds started popping up on my front walkway. You had actually a recipe to share with me to take care of the weeds so that it was not just a green approach, safe ingredients that did the job, but it also meant that I didn't have to go out and buy some product that was likely 5 times or more the cost. You have a number of recipes like that because you also shared with me before a homemade laundry recipe that provided for the detergent without, you know, having to go and buy the costly detergent at the grocery store. I believe that these are days where we could benefit from these homemade recipes rather than going to buy the product at the grocery store. Maybe you can even remember one of those recipes and share it now, but I'm sure that people would be interested in some of those recipes provided in the notes afterwards, if you can assemble them for the notes. Do you remember one of those recipes off the top of your head?
Yes, I do. But I'm going to share a different one because I want people to go to the notes below. So they will get the Weed Be Gone recipe and my laundry recipe. But this one is my window washing recipe. And people, I hate washing windows, but I can get all my windows done outside my windows clean in less than 20 minutes with this recipe. And all it is Dawn dish soap and jet dry and water. And trust me, when you rinse off, there is no streaks. There's no drying. There's no streaks. You just rinse and walk away and the sun does the rest. So look for the other ones. And you know what? I might add just a couple more too.
As a little commercial right now, we keep mentioning the description box and how much information we put in there. We do this for you, the viewer. If you click on the little link below, the little arrow that's right below our video, you will see another pop-up. In that pop-up will be all the resources that we provide based on the interview or the information we're giving to you. So you might find the recipes that we've mentioned, the books that we've shared, the other YouTube videos that we might have noticed go along with our teaching, or just helpful information. So please, we encourage you, when we say click on the information below, go to that description box and see if anything there is helpful to you. Thank you, Collette, for sharing all of the things that you've learned along the way to save money. There's some great suggestions in there. If you, the viewer, have enjoyed this, give Collette a little bit of encouragement and put a comment below. If you have a great tip that you'd like to share with the rest of us, could you put it in the comment below? We love to hear from you. And if you'd like to write us because you would like to be on the show, or if you have a question or concern, or even if you have a dream interpretation that you'd like to share with us, you can write us at recoveringyourvoice@gmail.com. But in the meantime, keep sharing your stories. I would think Carol Ann should introduce this.
Yeah, it sounded pretty good to me. Yeah, wow. I was thinking the same thing, Bonnie. I'll be honest, but I thought I was just cutting you slack today, Bonnie. Oh, I'm sorry. That's just funny. Oh, I had to have that laugh. I needed it today.
Are you gonna share a whole bunch in a row now? Should we mute?
If you have something to say or add, please, people, this is not the Collette show. Okay, this is not the Collette show. If it was the Collette show, there'd be a warning to begin every show, okay? Not suited for every audience, okay? It is not the Collette show. I love, the triple braid together, supporting. Let's keep that going, people, okay? Believe it or not, I have notes. You guys are a bad influence on me. I meant good, guys. Trust me, I'm okay. My mouth will say when it needs to say. I have no doubt on that. We really love that you learned that, Bonnie.
Yes.
It adds depth. It adds such depth. Okay, I can't tell you how many times they say Bonnie is a friggin' genius. Okay. Yeah. Dare to be brave and go to the description below. Hey guys, we're having coffee at my table, okay? I am not gonna paddle your boat, your gifting, okay? Just go with it, girl. Okay, go with it. This is your pep talk from me this time, honey.
What, you've got a face there, Collette?
No, I was enthralled. Honey, this is my face. It ain't gonna change, okay?
I thought it was wrong, sorry.
See, water rings. Need my water rings.